The TIFO. Well done by the Brickyard Battalion, as per usual. Time now for the starting lineups for each of these two squads. It's presented by Honda Manufacturers of Indiana, official automotive sponsor for the Indy 11. A slight change for the Indy 11. Suni Saad, he was too a great signee, as many were during the offseason. He and Jack McInerney have formed quite a pair. Bit of an issue in training this week for Suni. He will come off the bench. Ben Speed's back for a second year with the club. He gets the nod in the starting 11 today.
And Saad is available. It's early in the season, got a little nicked up in practice. Just want to make sure.
On the flip side now for FC Cincinnati, we will see several players we are familiar with during their days in North American Soccer League. In fact, that starting three, last year Emery Welshman in Puerto Rico, Emmanuel Ledesma, New York Cosmos, and Lance Lang with North Carolina FC. It is a new league for the Indy 11, but a lot of familiar faces on this FC Cincinnati roster, not to mention former Indy 11 player Blake Smith, who has the only goal so far this season for FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, and the pickup of Richie Ryan, too. Such a warrior and a general that they've got there in the middle of the field.
After having veteran goalkeepers each of the previous 4 years in Christian Niecht and then John Bush, another veteran, this one, Owain Van Williams, a member of the Welsh national team. He is on loan from his team in Scotland. He's the youngest primary goalkeeper in the 11 history. He's only 30 years of age. He's a very talented player.
He is, and an interesting style. You know, we had Christian here as a shot stopper, did very, very well in that capacity. You got John Bush, a tactician who's pulling the strings, organizing his backs, reading the game very, very well. Owain, a little bit of a risk taker in this first game, off his line really quickly, and I tell you what, he was reading it correctly, and he was able to diffuse some things before they got dangerous.
Evan Newton will be in between the posts for FC Cincinnati. Each of these two players had clean sheets in their opening game of the season.
Oh my goodness, Newton was on fire. I watched that game with the Battery in the last 30. He might have had 3 inside the 6 point-blank reaction saves.
The teams are ready. A few more photos for the Indy 11 on this historic night for soccer in the city of Indianapolis. The last time soccer was played in this building, it was the International Champions Cup. It was Chelsea. It was Inter Milan on August 1st of 2013. The Indy 11 had been introduced at that time, but they would not yet play their first ever official match for nearly 7 months. The mic was a fantastic home for the first 4 years in the history of this franchise. But it feels so good to be here in Lucas Oil Stadium and knowing we are seeing a record crowd, a record that dates back to the first ever Indy 11 match, April 12th of 2014. That night, over 11,000 fans were on hand. We expect that number to hit nearly 17,000 this evening.
That's incredible. Well done, Indianapolis.
By the way, our 3-man crew that will be handling the officiating duties in tonight's contest. Our referee, Malik Badawi. Andrew Bigelow and Kevin Locke will be our assistant referees. And our 4th official is Joshua Kelly. One of the many great things about making the move to the USL, natural rivalries. For the first of 3 times this season, it's Indy 11, it's FC Cincinnati. The 2 teams that led their leagues in attendance last year meet for the first time at Lucas Oil Stadium, and we are underway. So many new names for the Indy 11, and a foul is given. That foul committed by Emery Welshman. Again, played for Puerto Rico FC last year. His teammate in Seth Moses, now a member of the Indy 11 roster. There are a lot of connections between these 2 teams. As we're just underway here at Lucas Oil, Brad, let's talk about the keys to this match. They are presented by your Central Indiana Honda dealers, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11.
For the 11, I love to see them stay fluid. They were so dangerous last week against Richmond with the complexity of the attack, guys interchanging places. Would love to see that again tonight. And then to tighten the back channels. They were pretty solid all night. The last 10 minutes against Richmond, they got a little bit loose, and Gentili got through a couple times. So you got to make sure you're locked in on that for the full 90 minutes. And that's this first key for Cincy. They've got to be for a full match. As soon as they scored against the Battery, they took their foot off the gas a little bit and really had to hang on to that match. And then the last thing is get Lang and Ledesma involved. Those guys are going to be playing out wide. If they can utilize both of those guys consistently, Indy has to defend the field north and south and east and west.
The phrase electric left feet come to mind for Lance Lang and Emmanuel Ledesma.
I tell you, and it's interesting, 7 seconds into the Battery game, Lance Lang hit the post. right off the whistle.
One thing that FC Cincinnati fans are somewhat used to, and of course Indy 11 fans will grow accustomed to it, is the fact that yes, this is primarily a football venue. So you see that paint has been applied to cover up as much of the football lines and marking as possible, but you see the 10, the 20, the 30, he could go all the way, yada, yada, yada. So with that, the yellow lines is what you need to focus on in terms of the way that this field is laid out. Of course, we used to talk about the old turf at Michael A. Carroll was laid out east to west inside the track stadium. No longer the case. We go north and south, and frankly, no worries about the setting sun. The great thing about indoor football, like the setting sun, would be an issue given the weather in Indianapolis today anyway. Ben Speeds working the ball forward for the Indy 11. Let's talk about the injury report for the Indy 11. It is sponsored by Community Health Network Sports Medicine, official sports medicine provider of the Indy 11. Iose and Kevin Venegas, neither in the 18 this evening, both dealing with thigh injuries. Neither has appeared in a game yet this season. Iose, one of 3 former members of the New York Cosmos on this Indy 11 roster. Venegas had spent the last 6 years at Minnesota United, 5 in the North American Soccer League, and made the jump with them to Major League Soccer a season ago.
Tell you, that tells you what Minnesota feels about him when he is one of their first 2 signings when they moved to the MLS, and he was with the club for 5 years, so they knew him inside and out.
Indy 11 asking for the foul. McInerney went to the turf. Official says play on. And no foul given there either. So physical challenges going both ways in the early stages of this match. Carl Wimet with the ball at his feet for the Indy 11.
And he's letting them play. And you gotta like the fact that he's not calling it either way.
These might draw some flags in some Colts games. Long distance shot by the captain and Matt Watson. And remaining on the turf, that is Kenny Walker. This is an FC Cincinnati team that has a lot of new faces from last season. Kenny has been with them now for all 3 years. And McInerney just clobbered him. Both sides getting physical. And again, and this is common at this level of soccer. You've got a lot of former teammates, a lot of guys who played against each other in this league or another league. These teams are new to playing each other. These players are not new to facing each other.
You want to talk about a rivalry. There's no quicker way to ignite one than to start the first match between the 2 clubs as physical as it was. Just before this hit, there was a 2-hand push. I think it might have been an 11 player. Just puts both hands on a Cincy player and pushes him. And when that kind of physicality is allowed to play, at least it's consistent, that both clubs know what the rules are. And I imagine the rules will be tightened up a little bit here. But that line has been drawn.
Take a look at our head coaches tonight. Martin Rennie in his 2nd year as the head coach of the Indy 11. Previously the head coach of the Carolina Railhawks, then the Vancouver Whitecaps. Spent 3 years coaching a brand new team in Seoul, South Korea. Spent last year away from coaching, but jumped at the opportunity to become the Indy 11 head coach. Back in that fateful month of January, so much happened in a good way for this franchise during the first month of the year. They did not begin preseason training until mid-February. Yet other than that first preseason match, which was against FC Cincinnati as Walker returned to the pitch for Cincy, it looks like this team really hasn't missed a beat from, you wouldn't know they were kind of behind the 8 ball from a training standpoint.
And you know where that's going to pay dividends is in September, October. There's a month less work on these guys' legs than everybody else in the league. And, you need that month to gel and to bring guys together. But between the veteran guys that they've got and all the connections to Coach Rennie, this team was clicking out of the gate.
Good little give and go here. Ledesma was the intended target and wins it away from past your left foot.
Yeah,
we've referenced how talented that left foot is. We saw it firsthand in matches against the Cosmos last year. Bit of a giveaway and nearly a goal given away by the Indy 11.
Yeah, bad decision to try and dribble out of the back, especially when you've got one of the premier players in the league right there lined up with you. And then you take a look, and you referenced it, that Ledesma's a ridiculously dangerous left-footed player. I mean, it is a lethal ball that he can hit with his left foot. So with him playing out on the outside on the right, you know he's coming into the center. You've just got to understand that if you don't see him, that he's going to be pinching central.
Ledesma is trying to be the answer to a trivia question, as are some other players for the Indy 11. And that'd be the first guy to score in both Michael A. Carroll Stadium and score at Lucas Oil Stadium. And a foul has been given behind the play as Zach Steinberger goes to the turf for the Indy 11. And a chance for a set piece here for Indy.
And right now the bar has been changed on how much they're going to allow this game to be physical, because that wasn't near the hit that Watson absorbed.
Steinberger in his second stint with the Indy 11. Of course, played his collegiate soccer at Butler University. Was with the team in 2015 on loan from the Houston Dynamos, with the last 2 years with the Jacksonville Armada in the North American Soccer League. It is Ben Spies that will take the set piece. Steers it in. Not really flicked on goal, but the attack continues for Indy. That ball takes a Karam back in the field of play instead of to the sideline for a throw-in, a potential corner kick. Hoyt facing the pressure of Indy and releases the ball to his right.
Good
now
touch.
Steinberger got a deflection, but didn't get the right bounce that he was looking for. Zach had one of the goals of the year a season ago in the North American Soccer League, a volley in May. As the Jacksonville Armada got off to a tremendous start. Now, they would miss the playoffs, but I thought you saw a quantum leap forward in Steinberger's game in his third year as a professional last year.
Yeah, and not just his game. I talked to Coach Lowry before the matchups with Jacksonville last year, and he would comment every single time about the professional that Zach has become. He comes into the locker room. He's always got a smile on his face. His energy is always high. The way he trains is always at an elite level. And I asked Zach about that. I said, hey, you know, how is it that you come and you walk into that locker room every day with a big smile? He says, look, I get to do something that I absolutely love. I dreamed about this when I was a kid. Now I actually get to do it. How could I not come in with a smile?
Long distance ball sent down the pitch by goalkeeper Evan Newton of FC Cincinnati. Good combination work here by FC Cincinnati. And a foul is given. Ledesma earns the free kick. Nico Modern, first ever player for the Indy 11 to play for Indiana Wesleyan University at the NAIA level. One of the last signees in this preseason. A young man that is from Germany, but played his college soccer here in the States. Even though he's just a year removed from college, he's 25 years of age, and clearly he has been a find for head coach Martin Rennie.
And it's an interesting story in that he wasn't thinking. He came over to the States to get a degree, not pursue professional soccer. Indy 11 needed some players for training, and they brought him out.
Which left 30 you want, Ledesma or Lang? That's who's lining up. It'll be Ledesma who steers it in. Fawn Williams got enough of it.
It's a heck of a save, because you don't know if that flick is coming or not. You gotta have a foot in two different worlds on that ball.
Ball finds its way back to Blake Smith. Blake spent the last 2 years along with his current teammate Richie Ryan playing for Miami FC. And that'll be another foul on Ledesma.
And you look strategically, you start looking at the ball that they keep hitting into this pocket for Ledesma. You know, Newton on a quick restart from in goal knocked this ball into play, and immediately the Cincy players all turned around and gave him a thumbs up that, hey, this is part of the game plan. We got to find Ledesma quickly in transition.
Welchman sends it across, quickly cleared by the Indy 11 back 9, and back 4, I should say. And just as quickly, Hoyt will hit the restart button for FC Cincinnati. Hasn't exactly been much action in the midfield. Everything's been around the 18 for either of these two teams. Thoughts that maybe the Indy 11 defender played that with an extended arm. Rule was no, he got it with his shoulder. Now McInerney back deep, applying pressure, and wins that ball back for the Indy 11. Space to operate. And neither of these teams have given up a goal so far in the 100 minutes they have played this season. Ball sent in, does not make its way to Spies. Spies, one of 3 returning players back from the season ago for the Indy 11. joined by Brad Ring and Justin Braun, both who appeared as subs a week ago. Little flick forward. Pasher now looking to go work.
Great touch.
Left foot cross, not the one he wanted to hit. Pasher spent last season playing with the Swope Park Rangers. That is the USL Farm Club of Sporting KC. They were the Western Conference champions a season ago. Alan Koch in his second season as the head coach of FC Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati, of course, became the darlings of American soccer during last season, not just because of their tremendous crowds they have been drawing at Nippert Stadium, because of the remarkable run they made in the U.S. Open Cup, knocking off the Columbus Crew, the Chicago Fire. We've mentioned Miami FC already, all the way to the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup, and a playoff berth in year number 2 as well.
And that match against the Fire goes to overtime and goes to PKs. And if I recall correctly, their goalkeeper saved 4 out of the 5 penalty kicks. You look at one of the things that Pasher brings down this left side. He's, a left-footed player, and he's got great pace. And so, he was a little bit off on that serve, but he's going to create some opportunities because he's going to be able to accelerate into that space and get back. Oh, look at that ball.
Pasher sends it across. A couple of Indy 11 players going for it. Steinberger amongst that group, Eugene Starikoff as well. Neither did get to it. And a throw-in coming for Blake Smith for FC Cincinnati. The sports of the match is brought to us by Community Health Sports Medicine, keeping athletes at the top of their game. Visit ecommunity.com/sports. Blake remains the all-time leading scorer in Indy 11 history in U.S. Open Cup play. He had 4 in 2 games back in 2014. First ever hat trick for the Indy 11, if you will, came against the Dayton Dutch Lions in their first ever U.S. Open Cup win. Then scored a goal in the Columbus Crew, a match the Indy 11 lost and added extra time. Here's an opportunity for Welshman. And a Welshman then takes it away from him in Owain Von Williams.
Oh,
sometimes things just set up for you. Broadcasting like soccer is all about timing.
Yeah, it is.
The ball was played perfectly to me, and I tapped it in.
You did. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, you talk about Blake Smith and his time with Indy 11. He was a very pacey outside midfielder for us, and they've kind of brought that quality to their back line by dropping him back as an outside back.
Player goes to the turf for FC Cincinnati. I believe that is Kenny Walker. Walker, an Ohio native from Wickliffe, Ohio. And he and Corbin Bone, kind of the 2 guys, the way that people in Indy feel about Brad Ring, that's how the folks in Cincinnati feel about these 2 guys who were with the team from day number 1. Again, despite all their success from a season ago, maybe more so in the U.S. Open Cup than during the regular season, 17 new faces of the 26 players on the FC Cincinnati roster. And you can see that maybe from that bump earlier, they're giving him the concussion check just to make sure. And for that reason, it's why we have stopped play here, is you do not take chances with something of that magnitude.
Yeah, if it's even related, based on that hit and how he went down and was motionless for a few seconds, if this is even related to his head, you got to sub him.
Martin Rennie talking with our 4th official about the stoppage in play here in minute number 15. Tremendous support by the folks at FC Cincinnati. That is not surprising. This goes back several minutes, and McInerney and Walker collide. He'll be assisted to the sideline, and FC Cincinnati is starting to loosen a player. If you look to what would be the south end zone here at Lucas Oil, there's a bit more room for players to stretch than we're used to at the old digs at Carroll Stadium. And it looks like they're going to go to a sub in a hurry, and that Will Seymour will be brought into the next stoppage in play. So FC Cincinnati plays a man down currently. Indy 11 trying to take advantage. Inside of the 18, that's Ouimet. Ouimet played in the North American Soccer League with last year's league champions, the San Francisco Deltas. Before that with the Jacksonville Armada. And much like a Jack McInerney, much like a Suni Sada, he's a mid-20-something player with many years of professional soccer experience.
And one of the first homegrown players. He was through the Montreal Academy, I believe.
Correct.
Went up to the MLS club and has had some national team duties. So, oh my, what a move.
Pasher on the attack. Looking to play it across, looking for an angle. Back post, off the post. Steinberger couldn't tap it home.
Wow.
The first scoring threat for the Indy 11. And McInerney's wondering why the laws of geometry and physics are against him.
Oh, Tyler Pasher just creates this out of nothing and then delivers an incredible serve across.
McInerney thought he had it. And Steinberger can't believe his bad luck.
I think Newton thought he had it. I mean, you know, when you watch the game of FC Cincinnati against Charleston last 2 weeks ago, and those are the saves that he was making.
So Will Seymour is on. FC Cincinnati back at full strength. That's off his shoulder. We met, couldn't keep it in play. Steinberger sends it to Speeds towards the 6-yard box. Momentarily out of the 18. And now cleared to safety and sprinting back to the other end. That is Lance Lang.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good decision by Pasher. When you take a look at the pace that Lance Lang can close you down, and it's a 1v1, and he's got a full head of steam. Knock that ball out, allow your team to regroup.
I think we have seen Lance play at all 3 levels, so to speak, during his tenure, whether it's defensively, midfield, or as an attacking forward. This is the 4th different team he has played with against the Indy 11.
What a ball.
Flag stays down.
What a ball.
This is Corbin Bone.
Incredible run by Bone. He just knew that Ledesma can play that ball and just tucked in behind his defender.
Counter run by Speeds. Tried to slide it past a pair of defenders. And back to safety and Tyler Pasher. Starikoff got in. Nope, he did not. Flag eventually went up. This reminder, fans, tune in every Saturday morning on 107.5 FM and 1070 The Fan for Soccer Saturday. We were graced by the presence of Brad Hodder on today's program. Josh Mason, president of the Brickyard Battalion. Head coach Martin Running, Jack McInerney, and Tom Gallagher, the play-by-play voice of FC Cincinnati. Available on the podcast page now, and you log on to 1070thefan.com.
You talked a little bit about the familiarity of players, and you could see that with Richie Ryan and Ben Spees. Ben Spees is out on the break, has more pace than Richie Ryan, so Richie tactically gets himself into a position to slow play down and wait for the double team.
Ledesma gives the foul against Spees. Let's talk about Richie Ryan, because it's easy during the days in the North American Soccer League to kind of focus on, are the best players linked to the guys that score the most goals. Richie Ryan doesn't score goals, but if you ask those around the league, name the best player in the league, it did not take long for the name of Richie Ryan to be brought up. What makes him such a great player?
High soccer IQ. A veteran player, rarely makes a bad decisions. He's not the guy that you're going to watch this game and at the end of it be able to clip a highlight reel. He does everything before pressure comes. He's a step ahead out there mentally. You know, when you start taking a look at guys like that, you know, you got a lot of that from Toronto last year for Indy 11, is guys that are just a step ahead tactically, can keep that ball moving ahead of pressure.
And a foul given. Free kick coming for the Indy 11. It was Matt Watson that drew the free kick. Matt in his 13th year playing professional soccer. He is originally from England. Spent 1 year at a college that became famous a couple of weeks ago. That'd be the University of Maryland at Baltimore County. When your basketball team is the first ever 16 seed to win an NCAA tournament game, suddenly everybody knows where he went to school.
And I asked him,
Speeds from distance.
I said, you know, where does a guy in London wind up at UMBC? How did that happen? And he talked about they have these kind of pro trials and these camps out there that, in addition to some clubs coming out looking for players, there's a lot of American colleges that go over there and look for guys that might be interested in coming over. You know, he said he got a bunch of offers. I said, how'd you decide on them? He goes, that was the best offer. Hard to argue. And he's a proud retriever right now.
Quality nickname knowledge by you. Well done. Opportunity here. This is McInerney. McInerney turned pro at the age of 17, where he spent parts of 5 seasons with the Philadelphia Union. Last year was a little used reserve for the LA Galaxy. Part of the reason why McInerney is now here with the Indy 11. Wanted an opportunity to know he was going to play on a night in, night out basis. He is 25 years old.
That's incredible.
He and Suni Saad, who I assume we will see Suni at some point off of the bench, who had spent parts of the last 5 of the last 7 years in the Sporting Kansas City organization. They are separated in age by all of 13 days. They were teammates, in fact, they were roommates and worked with the U17 national team. Nice combination to have. Room to operate here for the Indy 11. And a foul. Starikoff draws the whistle. And Starikoff goes to the turf.
And that's Kanan, and I tell you what, it's a hard foul, but it's the right play because Starikoff drops that ball back, and he's looking to spin off of Kanan into space where that ball can be played into, and he can just run onto it. And I think if Kanan doesn't make that foul, Starikoff is in.
Starikoff played with the New York Cosmos last year, joined by Ioze and Juan Guerra, who appeared as a reserve last week for the Indy 11. Their former teammate Emmanuel Ledesma, we've talked about frequently, as his talent warrants, we do, for the FC Cincinnati squad. Throw-in coming here for Indy. Play it back to safety to Owain Fon Williams. Fans, you can show your Indy 11 pride and get your exclusive IMCU Indy 11 debit card at any IMCU branch or online at imcu.com today. Steinberger thought he was fouled, just kind of stopped playing. The throw-in is simply given instead. Now they'll give the foul. I'm not sure I've ever seen a player ask for a call like that and get rewarded for it.
Don't like seeing that.
This is Spies. Scored in his home debut with the Indy 11 last year. Starikoff.
You got to call it when both arms go out like that. I mean, it was an easy one. Easy one to call. And you look at Ben Spies, too. I mean, he has the knack, not just on restarts, but in the run of play, to just serve some really dangerous balls in.
By the way, this segment of the match is brought to us by the Room Place. Get it all at the Room Place. And Greg Rakestraw, Brad Hodder with you. Our maiden voyage from Lucas Oil Stadium as the brand new home of the Indy 11. Whether you're joining us on My Indy TV in the Indianapolis area, or anywhere in the world courtesy of YouTube, we thank you for joining us for Indy 11 soccer. Indy 11 last week did something they had not done in team history before. That is win their opening match of the season. Literally had drawn each of their first 4 season openers, as they have done with all 4 of their home openers to this point. In fact, up until last week, the Indy 11 had registered draws in their first 2 matches of the season in their 4 previous seasons as a professional club. Seemingly possession has kind of come in 5- and 6-minute chunks. The last 5 or 6 minutes have belonged to Indy. This is Steinberger, former first-round draft pick of the Houston Dynamo. Starikoff. Good move to avoid the defender in front of him, not the one behind him.
Yeah, sure. You have Ouimet coming up the touch line, and he's got space. Play it out there to him. Take the simple ball. It doesn't have to be complex.
Give away by Pasher. Opportunity for Welshman. We'll play it forward to Ledesma. He's onside. We'll play it across with the volley. Fon Williams is there.
Great save.
Only had 2 saves a week ago. Only faced 2 shots on goal. Owain Fon Williams up to the challenge for the Indy 11. First native of Wales to play for the Indy 11. Again, on loan from Inverness, Caledonian Thistle. It's
what a serve.
The goal for FC Cincinnati. It is Emery Welshman. And to the 1,000+ fans that made the drive from I-74, they are rewarded as FC Cincinnati is staked to a 1-goal lead in minute number 26.
Incredible ball. You had a defender behind Welshman. You had a defender in front of him. There was a window, a tiny window for Ledesma to put that ball into, and he found it. You got to get a little tighter on that ball. You got to get Ledesma's head down. You got to try and affect the serve. He's too dangerous on his left foot to give him a free look like that.
First goal allowed this season by the Indy 11. First goal of the season for Emery Welshman, 26-year-old native of Ontario, again spent last year playing with Puerto Rico FC. And of the several NASL signings that Cincinnati made, Emery wasn't talked about that much. But clearly, as we said it earlier, there is something that Alan Koch sees, and he's been rewarded for that with the early goal.
Well, you know, when you look at Puerto Rico last year, the troubles that they had with the hurricane and the fact that they had to redo all of their home games and play them in the U.S. and live out of hotels and suitcases and on a bus, you know, for a couple months. How does that affect a player's rhythm? And so, you know, when you look at him every day in training and you say, hey, this guy might be capable of doing something really, really special.
Watson left foot.
What a hit.
And Newton able to knock it away.
That's 2 from Watson.
He had 4 2 weeks ago. Again, FC Cincinnati was off last week. They had scheduled a friendly against University of Dayton. That was postponed because of weather. Matt Watson looking for his first Indy 11 goal.
Holy, that was a rip. And you take a look at what that does now. Cincinnati now, they have to come out and they have to press that ball at that distance if he's going to pull the trigger. And that can now open up some things for McEnany or Starikoff underneath.
We referenced a trivia question. We named the first player to score at both Michael A. Carroll Stadium and Lucas Oil Stadium. That man is Emery Welshman. He scored in Puerto Rico's victory in October here and a 2-1 win late in October. And he scores the opening goal ever at Lucas Oil Stadium in the Indy 11 game.
That's incredible. Who in Vegas would have had that?
I'm not sure they offered that action in Vegas, but we'll suggest it next time around.
They have every action.
Indy 11 trying to equalize here.
Good leave.
McInerney didn't get everything he wanted to on it. And it will be a goal kick coming for FC Cincinnati. Fans, make sure you cast your vote for the USL Goal of the Week every Monday evening. Log on to USLsoccer.com as the road to the fans' choice of the USL Goal of the Year continues throughout the season.
One of the things that, as a coach, when you have a bye week like FC Cincinnati had last week, you're worried about, can your team find a rhythm and how long is it going to take to find a rhythm? Because at this level, it's habit. It's, you get into this, we play on this day, we do this on the day before, we do this on the day after, and when you have a bye week like that, it can disrupt kind of your flow in training and your rhythm of how you do things. And it didn't take them long. I mean, it was physical early on, but they have found a rhythm pretty quick.
Well-timed run by Lance Lang. The service by Blake Smith. Ball deflected across the end line. First corner of the match coming for FC Cincinnati.
Good recovery. Good recovery.
And the former Indy 11 man and Blake Smith didn't always see regular playing time at Miami FC the last couple of years. Finding Lance Lang. Lance has played against the Indy 11 with FC Edmonton, Minnesota United. Had a great start of the season with North Carolina FC last year, and then just kind of faded away the last 2 or 3 months of the year.
Yeah, that was a high IQ serve by Blake Smith and Lance Lang. I mean, they kind of set Weemat up to jump into some space and then played it in behind him.
Ball played in. McInerney got there first, out of the 18. It falls to Lang, and Lang wants to get it on his left foot. And McInerney sprinting all the way out to the midfield stripe. Ball sent forward by Watson. First-time team captain at the age of 33 is Matt Watson. Played for Coach Rennie with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Spent last year playing in Phoenix in the Western Conference. Again onside.
What a ball.
Welshman couldn't get there in time because in the 11-foot got there first. We'll do it again. Far side corner coming for FC Cincinnati.
Great recovery, or Welshman's got a second.
Ledesma again sets up to take the corner. Welshman, the only FC Cincinnati player inside of the 6. McInerney got there first. Smith the volley, but never a threatening one for Owine and Fawn Williams. We see Blake Smith spent a year playing in Europe. He was actually on loan from the Montreal Impact when he played for the Indy 11. The last 2 seasons with the Miami FC. Played his collegiate soccer at the University of New Mexico, did Blake.
You got a little tactical change from FC Cincinnati. They flipped Ledesma and Lang right now, and you wonder if it's just to give a different look to the 11, or if they've seen something either in We Met or Pasher that they like to match up better.
And the back four remains the same for the Indy 11 from a week ago. Ouimet, Mitchell, Ferreira, and Pasher. Mitchell, native of Trinidad and Tobago, one of two that are on the Indy 11 roster. Ferreira, he too, like Carl Ouimet, a member of last year's NASL champions, the San Francisco Deltas. Their head coach, Mark Dos Santos. His brother, Philip, now the top assistant coach for Martin Rennie with the Indy 11. This portion of the match is presented by Honda Manufacturers of Indiana, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. Starikoff with the takeaway. Great work to avoid Lang. Now Watson. And Pasher's provided a spark from his left back position.
From the moment FC Cincinnati turned that ball over, the defensive transition, they got all 8 back behind the ball really, really quickly. Very disciplined.
Starikoff steps in front of Ben Speeds. Options for Watson. Now Pasher. Good things have happened when the ball has been at his feet. Steinberger, the distance shot. Could not keep it on frame. In his previous stint with the Indy 11, Zach scored 2 goals in the same game, September of 2015, and a victory against the Jacksonville Armada. Zach was joined as a first-round draft pick out of Butler this year in the MLS Super Draft by Carmel native Eric Dick. Congratulations to him. Taken by Sporting Kansas City with the 13th pick in the draft. Zach was the 8th pick in the draft 3 years ago. And another FC Cincinnati player goes down, and this is Lance Lang. They have already had to use an injury substitution because of Kenny Walker. I'm not sure exactly what happened here to Lance. Lance has spent time with the Jamaican national team in the past. For a couple of years, he seemingly was the sole offense for FC Edmonton. By the way, his former teammate Ntomi Amiobi, also a part of this FC Cincinnati crew. Of course, weather, safe to say, not a factor here inside Lucas Oil Stadium this evening. Forecast, rain in the mid-50s, windy outside. A perfect 72 degrees inside Lucas Oil tonight.
I think I might have got a text. I'm focused. I haven't been checking, but I think I might have got a text that says there's going to be 1 to 3 inches of snow tomorrow.
No. That was last week, and that turned into 10 inches of snow. We're good.
Maybe my texts aren't coming in on time.
So Lang being helped to the sideline. And yet again, FC Cincinnati will play a player down momentarily.
Yeah, you hate to see that. He's just so electric. They're going to slide Bone out wide to cover for that. But he's a game changer. His pace just causes problems. He's a finisher.
Evan Newton, 29 years of age, the goalkeeper for FC Cincinnati. Native of Virginia Beach, Virginia. And the 11 weren't too far away from there when they played the Richmond Kickers last Saturday. It was a late first half goal a week ago for the Indy 11. And a foul earned by Starikoff for Indy. And Lance Lang has returned for FC Cincinnati. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit SelectSportsAmerica.com. Make that SelectSportAmerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. Another opportunity steered away by FC Cincinnati.
And this happened last week in Richmond, and it does create some problems. You saw a great serve from Ben Spees and We Met. You've got Starikov and Spies have switched too, and that was the fluidity that happened between Saad and Starikov last week.
Restart coming here for the Indy 11. We met will take it. Errant pass between Ouimet and Watson. Welshman had the run going, but knew it was offside,
Yeah,
so he stopped.
I think Welshman thought Ledesma was going to hit it one time, and he timed it for that. And when Ledesma took a prep touch on it, Welshman was caught offsides.
Another errant pass, this one coming from Ferreira. Bone trying to slip behind the defense. He does. Timed it perfectly. Welshman the target inside. Ledesma outside of the 18. Trying to keep Ledesma away from that left foot. That's a good read by Nico Modern. Again, a guy that was playing college soccer at this time a year ago.
Yeah, but that's the scout. You got to jump his left side, make him. He's still dangerous. I mean, he knocked the ball across in the box with his right foot. That was dangerous, but you've got to keep him on his right.
And Pasher, all the way from his left back spot, takes towards the midfield stripe. Now Starikov. Ball takes a good bounce. McInerney got a touch. Penalty coming.
There you go.
Newton got to him, takes him down. The first penalty of the season is earned by Jack McInerney.
Great pace. Great pace to be able to chase that down and make Newton have to make a save.
FC Cincinnati debating should that have been a foul. Indy 11 asking for a card. They are at least getting a penalty out of it, and absolutely, that's a penalty. No doubt about that. Now, what card is coming along with it? Or will the penalty be deemed to be enough? We've got big video replay boards in each corner of this building. That's everybody's kind of pointing to, hey, look there, look there. It appears it will be a penalty and no further discipline.
Yeah, and I think that the argument from FC Cincinnati is, hey, he made the save. He made the save. He went for the ball, and in making that save, McInerney hit him.
There was an additional touch after the save was made. McInerney looking for his second goal in as many weeks. He will take it in front of the Brickyard Battalion. McInerney saved by Newton.
My goodness.
Volley saved again by Newton. And FC Cincinnati keeps a 0 on the board. And now on the counter, Fawn Williams elects not to play it. Ball sent across, looking back post for Lang. The service by Seymour. Again looking for Welshman. Headed away.
My goodness.
From field view. Read the first one, read the second one.
Those are not easy saves.
The fans that made that trip up I-74 are being rewarded, both offensively and defensively. Ouimet got there first, Lang the volley. Ricochets off his former teammate in Ben Spies. The two played together at Minnesota United 2 seasons ago. And Fawn Williams is there. And volley out of the 100 level of seats here at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Those are such energizing moments. And that ball goes in, and this gets back to being an even game, and Indy gets a charge. And you look at this, and the amount of energy and life that it's brought back into FC Cincinnati.
And that'll be a card shown against Ferreira. So Ferreira goes into the books. And Ferreira is asking for a look from the trainer. As Ledesma over to counsel him. This is one where that's professional foul territory. You know you're beat. Take it. If you get the card, so be it.
And I think they got their feet caught up, and I think Ferreira just got stepped on, and as his ankle was turning.
By the way, I have been told, people have been hitting me up on Twitter since your snow forecast, that there is actually some talk of rain changing to snow tomorrow. which I assume, given tomorrow's date, is just a sick April Fool's joke.
Yeah, well, every now and then, Rake, I get something right every now and then.
But why waste it so early in the season? It's our first broadcast
I'm
together.
reinventing myself. That's going to be the start of being accurate on stuff from now on.
So Ferreira being tended to by the training staff for the Indy 11.
And it looked bad. I mean, his ankle was rolling at the same time it got stepped on, and that's a you might be able to play through that. You might need to get it retaped at halftime. You might be done for the day.
Already one injury sub has been made by FC Cincinnati.
And I didn't see what happened to Lance Lang when he went down, but the way he's stretching, it looks like lower back or hamstrings or something that's tight and bothering him right now.
So Ferreira hobbling towards the bench and clearly given the weight, and he's not putting weight on it, so that tells you his day is done right there. So the first key injury of the season for the Indy 11 appears to have happened early, or late rather, in the first half of their home opener.
And unfortunately, those are not quick heals.
By the way, this portion of the match is brought to us by Turkish Airlines. Widen your world. So both teams have played a man down from time to time. At first glance, I think we're going to see Brad Ring come in for the Indy 11, which will be met with roars from the Indy 11 faithful. The lone remaining original member of the Indy 11, dating back to 2014. This portion of the match brought to us by our friends at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Take your business to the next level in a state that works. Von Williams off his line to quickly thwart an opportunity.
It's a good read
for FC Cincinnati.
Especially when Modern has to go back there and fill into a spot he hasn't played this year. And give him a little bit of help, come off the line and pick up that ball.
So Ring will enter the next stoppage in play. Each team will take 2 subs with them to the second half. Brad Ring enters. The Brickyard Battalion is sure to approve. Ring was signed back in 2014 in part for his versatility. He could play about 3 or 4 different spots. He really has been more of a holding midfielder in his days with the Indy 11. But to be asked to play on the back line, replacing the injured Ferreira tonight. Left-footed shot.
Whoa. Blake
Smith. I guess we can say that's from Vinatieri range. Now in the ballpark.
Well, it was from the 40, I think. Yeah, you talk about Ring's versatility. I mean, he's tough, high soccer IQ, great leader.
And Ring immediately, ball finds him. Hooks up with his teammate the last 2 years in Ben Spees. Spees didn't steer that one in the way he wanted to. Because of the couple of injuries, because of the couple of substitutions, we should have a good amount of stoppage time to be added before the end of the half, and we're now told will be 4 added minutes of time.
Oh, what a ball.
Well timed here. Smith, good work. Equally impressive, keeping Spees away from it. Yeah. Modern.
Having played together, I think, you know, the matchup of Spees and Blake Smith, having played together, Ring knows that that's an equal match in pace, that ball has to be just perfect to get through.
By the way, our closing minutes plus stoppage time of half number 1 brought to us by your Central Indiana Honda dealers, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. The Emery Welshman goal in the 27th minute. Responsible for our 1-0 advantage for FC Cincinnati. Jack McInerney drew a penalty, which was then saved by Evan Newton, which has kept it as a 1-goal FC Cincinnati advantage.
And he didn't miss fire. He struck it well.
And Newton, in goalkeeper speak, is not overly tall. He's 6'2". That was just very well read, tremendously well timed by Newton. Had the post up him on a McInerney header earlier. And that'll be Out of bounds as Pasher ruled to have won that challenge successfully without a foul against Emmanuel Ledesma. Hoyt will play this off to the side. Fans, you can hear exclusive stories directly from the USL's players and USLSoccers.com from the pitch. With written and video content provides unfiltered access and a first-person look at the professional game and players' everyday lives. About midway through our added time here before the end of half number 1. Ring sends this ball towards McInerney. Kanaan able to fend that ball away. The run going here by Lang. Ouimet will volley that ball back towards midfield. There's been a man from, say, the back 2 rows, so to speak, for FC Cincinnati has covered more ground than anybody else tonight. It's been Blake Smith. Been all over the park.
Well, you take a look at the goal he scored against the Battery. It was in the box at the 12 on a rebound from the goalkeepers. That, from his days in Indy, you could just see his engine run. He's got no problem with pace. He's got no problem with stamina. I actually like the move that since he's done it, putting him in the back line. He's going to be a dangerous player for him there.
Good flick by Starikov. Steinberger. Hoyt. And again, trying to play the advantage. That was the reason for the delayed whistle.
Again, it's a smart foul. You're out of position. Your back line is stretched a bit. Take the foul here. Let everybody come back. Now look at them. They got 2 lines of 4. They're completely how you draw it up against this restart versus having Hoyt out of position and Kanaan back as the only guy in the middle.
Hoyt, 32 years of age, from England. A little conversation taking place before the reset button is hit. Nico Modern. And a yellow card now shown. I think that's directed towards Steinberger. Modern sends it in. On the bicycle. McInerney couldn't dial it up. Closing seconds now of the half. And that'll do it right there. Emery Welshman with the lone goal so far. Opportunities for the Indy 11, but they have been unable to cash in at this point. This FC Cincinnati squad thought to be one of the more talented sides in the North American soccer, or in the USL. In that league for 4 years, bound to happen one time. So the team starting to head towards the locker room.
I'll tell you, that's going to set up an exciting second half, because there's still a lot of opportunities left in this match.
And Brad Ring inserted with the injury to Reiner Ferreira. We'll see him to start half number 2. Time now for our coaches interview, brought to us by Turkish Airlines, the official international airline of Indy 11 soccer. Turkish Airlines 1-year-old. We're joined by the head coach of the Indy 11 in Martin Rennie. Martin, your thoughts on the opening 45 minutes of play?
Well, it was an exciting half. I think it was a little bit a goal against the run of play. We were playing well. I felt we were in control of the game, and we lost a goal from really a long diagonal and a good cross from them, but poor defending from us. So that was disappointing. But other than that, we've played well. Obviously, we missed the penalty. We've hit the post, and now the second half, we just need to turn it up a notch.
What was your message to your guys at halftime, Coach?
Really just that. The guys aren't playing badly. We've been playing pretty well, and now it's just a case of making sure we keep the ball, we keep attacking, and we let everyone here go home happy.
Martin, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
We'll talk to Martin during our post-game show. You see Eugene Starikov on your screen, looking for his first Indy 11 goal. Originally from the Ukraine, but spent a lot of time playing here in the States, and again last year with the New York Cosmos. FC Cincinnati will have the first touch to begin half number 2. We're underway from Lucas Oil Stadium. From a tactics standpoint, Brad, anything you expect to see differently?
I don't. I think both teams played well. I think it was an exciting first half. Both teams have opportunities. If I'm Cincinnati, I might see if I can't get the ball to Ledesma and Lang a little bit more. They're so dynamic. If I'm Indy, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. Coach Rennie said it. You know, look, they drew a PK, and they've had some dangerous balls in there. They hit the post. It's coming for Indy. And if they don't tighten up the back line, it's going to come again for Cincy. And I don't think you're going to be able to get two against them.
They've yet to give up one so far this season. And that's going to be a foul given. Forrest Lasso. First time we have called his name tonight. Native of Raleigh, North Carolina. As lanky of a defender as you will see at 6'6". Those guys are normally goalkeepers, aren't they?
Yeah. That's what Lundgaard is. 6'6", 215, 220.
By the way, the player that Brad references, the backup netminder for the Indy 11. Young man on loan from the Columbus Crew. Played his college soccer at Virginia Tech. Modern sends this one in. Ring got there first, but Newton able to make the play. One thing that you will notice on this Indy 11 lineup, at least kind of how they're constructed right now, there's not exactly a lot of size up front to get those balls in the air on set pieces like that.
Well, I tell you, when you bring Justin Braun back in, I think that's, you know, what did he get, 5 goals last year off of his head? And then you look at the way that Suni Saad can serve the ball, and you look at that combination together, and that's going to be really dangerous.
Braun is available for selection off the bench. Of course, Justin Braun was set up to have his maybe best year as a pro a year ago for the Indy 11 before getting hurt at midseason. And then the old NASL structure of having a fall and a spring season, played just 34 minutes in the fall before his season ended in August with an ankle injury. Justin, 15 goals in 2 years with the Indy 11, 8 of those last year. Really only playing in half of a year.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see, because he was having one of those years where everything was just clicking for him, to see if he's able to finish that year. You know, how incredible those numbers could have been.
I don't think he's really back at full speed just yet. Part of the reason why you're seeing him used in a substitutes role, he played briefly at the end of last week's match in Richmond. And each team with 2 substitutions available. Good work by Starikoff to win that away from Blake Smith and then draw the foul. By the way, of note, we saw Brad Ring come in for Ferreira. Ring is now playing the right back position. They have moved Carl Ouimet to a center back spot.
I think part of that too is the height that Ouimet has. Put him in the center. If you've got Ledesma and Lang that are serving the ball in as dangerously as they are, you want a bit more height there in the center.
Bit of a giveaway by Lasso for Cincinnati. Now Watson. Tough ball. Good tackle by Lang to keep that away from an Indy 11 attack. Throw in coming here. FC Cincinnati looking for 6 points from 2 road matches before they even open up at home. They'll play at Nippert Stadium on the UC campus next Saturday against Louisville City FC.
I think I read somewhere that there's already 21,000 tickets sold for that match. There's a week to go.
They're at about 17,000 season tickets already. Memory serves, that venue holds about 35 to 40,000. It is remarkable the way that the Queen City has embraced the sport of soccer and this team. And they are just in their 3rd year of existence. Indy 11 in their 5th. Louisville City FC in their 4th. And again, like we talked about at halftime, they are the ones that are leading the levels below Major League Soccer in terms of attendance.
And look at this. I mean, there's 1,200, 1,500 fans from Cincinnati that made the trip.
Great flick forward. The Lasso has to play off to the side. Watson looking for the quick restart.
Great touch.
Steinberger couldn't weave his way through the traffic. Smith there to win it away.
You got to stay away from that feeling of trying to do too much individually. Keep it simple. Keep the ball moving. Keep Cincinnati on its heels.
Steinberger, good win. Opportunity here. McInerney to Starikov. Starikov with the volley. He wants to have that one back.
Yeah, that needed to develop just a little bit faster. He has such a lethal right foot, but it's got to give him an angle. I mean, the way he has to hit this ball, he has to hit it in such a way that he's got to put a little something on it, because the angle that he had just gives him no chance to just to find a window on the backside.
The USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow at USL on Twitter. Not the clearance that Fawn Williams was hoping for. Brad Ring will take the throw in for the Indy 11. This, by the way, is his 94th appearance with the club.
Wow.
In all competitions. Second only to Don Smart with the team for the last 4 years. Mitchell volleys this one back. Other side of the midfield stripe. Good takeaway by Bone.
Yeah, it was a good look, a good ball. Bone just read it really well.
Watson able to keep that in play. A conversation taking place between our match referee and head coach Alan Koch of FC Cincinnati. Alan was not happy a bit about the penalty that was given to Jack McInerney. It was then summarily saved by Evan Newton. And Malik Badawi is our referee tonight. So this portion of the match presented by Community Health Sports Medicine, keeping athletes at the top of their game. Visit ecommunity.com/sports. Throw-in coming here for FC Cincinnati.
And when you got Hoyt and Smith that are pressing up when they have the ball, that quick counter in transition to Starikov or Spies in that vacated space is going to create some opportunities.
McInerney goes to the ground. And a conversation be had between Dekel Kenan.
That's a tough one to argue. That's an easy call.
Kenan, 33 years of age, from Israel. He and Richie Ryan are the two oldest players on the FC Cincinnati roster. What can you do from this distance in terms of the set piece, Brad?
I think you got to lay it in about 12 yards out. See if you can beat your man to the ball.
Mitchell was the target from Spies. Welshman surrounded by 4 Indy 11 players.
Oh, good ball.
Lamette trying to settle. And not normally that far forward in the attack. Spies pops right back up.
Good serve.
Looking back post. Smith there to clear it away. And then races around McInerney.
I think McInerney just didn't understand the pace that Blake Smith plays with. The guy's always working, always running.
Pasher will play this ball forward, but no Indy 11 player close by. And certainly not as many numbers going forward with a 1-goal lead in favor of FC Cincinnati. This Sports the Match brought to us by the Denny Companies, tearing down the past so you can build the future. Starikoff with space. Left foot for Starikoff. Tried to use Lasso as a screen. Newton, as he has been all night, up to the challenge.
Yeah, I like the buildup in this play. It's one maybe from that angle, even with the screen. You've got 3 Indy 11 players in the box. Maybe you need to put that ball across.
We're going to see the second substitution of the night for the Indy 11, as Ben Spies will exit and Suni Saad will enter. And Suni got the start over Spies last week, and he and Jack McInerney have formed a pretty potent combo. They've known each other dating their under 17 days. And Suni spent parts of 5 of the last 7 seasons with Sporting Kansas City, played 2 years in Thailand around that. Played 1 collegiate season at the University of Michigan, scored double-digit goals. He's originally from Dearborn, Michigan, and Saad and McInerney can form a potent 1-2 for this team. Saad sends it in. Newton was there. Already, though, a bit of electricity, though, with Suni on the field.
Yeah, it's a dangerous ball in a dangerous pocket. As a goalkeeper, you're watching that ball come in, and you're wondering, is it going to nick off a defender? Is a forward going to get a piece of it? Do I play the actual serve, or do I play the ricochet?
Saw some good things from Ben Spies. Just 1 sub remaining now for the Indy 11. Probably score and time dictate what that might be. 2 subs available at this juncture for FC Cincinnati. Throw in coming here for the Indy 11. Rule that ricocheted off of Lance Lang.
Well played.
Suni Saad spent most of last year playing for the Swope Park Rangers, again the top farm club of the Sporting Kansas City side. So he and Tyler Pasher spent some time together last year, and they were the Western Conference champions, beaten by Louisville City FC in the USL Cup championship game. This segment of the match is brought to us by the Room Place. Get it all at the Room Place. And we've seen just a few unnecessary giveaways by the Indy 11. Is part of that simply getting used to the speed of this turf and kind of getting used to the surroundings?
It may be, because it's not the same kind of turf that's at the Mike. It's not the same kind of turf out at their training facility. So, they've had 1 day on this field. So it does take a little bit of time, but, hard to use that as an excuse. This is Cincinnati's first time on the field.
Met to Pasher. And now Saad. Didn't get the touch he wanted to on it.
Yeah, but he's got to get some touches. You got to get him involved right away. He's so electric, so dynamic, creates so much offense when he gets touches.
Suni Saad, a pair of goals during the preseason. Now Watson, Steinberger.
There you go.
Steinberger. The buildup has been there. The final shot has not been so far for the Indy 11.
Yeah, and that's a tough shot. You're moving away from the goal. You're putting yourself in a worse shooting angle. Your hips aren't square to the goal. And I give it to him. He got 8 goals last year. The guy can score. But, you've got guys back post. You're not in the right shooting position. Maybe knock that ball across.
Fans, if you got what it takes to beat the experts on USLsoccer.com, show off your knowledge of the league by picking the right results of the USL's matchups each week of the season.
Here you go.
Suni Sai. Starikoff in front. Good dispossession, though, by Cincinnati Will Seymour, who came in for the injured Kenny Walker.
Yeah, and it's tough. You look at the 11, and when they're moving the ball across the field, it's going so slow that allows Cincinnati to shift all their backs and their midfields over ball side. The ball's got to move a bit quicker, and the same thing on that. You have this counter-attacking opportunity, and you get caught from behind. You've got the space, explode into that space, put them under.
From a talent standpoint, I'm not sure we will see a better team in this league than Cincinnati that we're seeing tonight. This is a good idea of just how high the bar is set at the top of this league.
I agree. You got guys like Tomi Amiobi coming off the bench, and
the fact that Nazmi Abdeldawi is coming off the bench for this team, and he was one of the better creators in the NASL. That's the kind of guy that's got my attention.
That's incredible. He's one of the greatest playmakers that we saw last year, and he's a sub.
Ball sent in. Starikoff couldn't get to it. Goes down after the play, but again, the ball had been cleared already.
And then you look at Danny Kunig. This guy's got 37 goals in the last 3 years in the USL. He's coming off the bench. Shout out to him because he's from Denmark, so I gotta get my family Danish.
By the way, for those that don't know, Brad is not. His wife is, and Brad played professionally in Denmark, so hence the Danish love.
I was talking to Brad Russin because he played in Denmark for 2.5 years, and we were talking about the city that he played in. We were talking about the different delicacies that we both enjoy, the people, and I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think by the end of the phone call, we have a get-together at IKEA at some point.
Ring earns that one from Lance Lang. Lance thought it was going to be FC Cincinnati's possession. The official says otherwise. Starikoff to Ring. Brad Ring sends it in. Well defended by FC Cincinnati. Steinberger, left-footed volley. Zach has been quick to pull the trigger this evening. And immediately kind of raised his hand and said,
Yeah, but you look, I mean, that one comes across the middle, even though I think it was intended as a shot. And you give your team a chance when you put it in there, because Starikoff gets a piece of it, redirects it. I think that's about the only way you can score on this Newton keeper.
This Sports the Match presented by Honda Manufacturers of Indiana, the official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. It appears that Daniel Haber will be the next sub to enter for FC Cincinnati. He is not to the fourth official just yet, however. He is having a pretty in-depth conversation with a member of the FC Cincinnati coaching staff. Pasher trying to spark the run going forward. Welshman gives the foul to slow it up.
You know, you wonder if that's just a decision in the moment to take a professional foul and not let Pasher get ahead of speed, or if that's a tactical decision that they make in the locker room and say, hey, you know, he got through us a couple times. He was pretty dangerous. Let's make sure he doesn't do that again.
Pasher will turn 24 next month.
Unreal. He's almost got 80 games. He's almost got 80 games in the USL.
Young man from Ontario. He and Carl Wilmette representing Canada on this Indy 11 roster. Of course, head coach Martin Rennie knows a thing or two about coaching north of the border, having spent 3 years as the head coach of the Vancouver Whitecaps. And as referenced, Daniel Haber about to enter. He too from Ontario, a native of Toronto. He will come in to replace Lance Lang, and Lang, after kind of coming up a bit lame maybe through the first half, able to soldier on into the 65th minute.
Yeah, but haven't seen much of him here in the second half, so you wonder if that injury or whatever he went down for has caused a little bit of his game to erode here.
Well, frankly, let's face it, they have played 8-9 guys behind the ball for most of the second half as well, which limits his opportunities.
Yeah, but his game too is that put it into space and let me chase it down. For him to be able to go 90, you know, that's a tough ask.
So each team has one sub remaining. It's somewhat unusual to see teams use subs this early in a match. I mean, this is the second match of the season, week 3 of the season for each of these two teams. The Indy 11 had the first week off, one of 5 teams that had the bye in week 1. And you'll see this from a scheduling standpoint. You'll see a few more Saturdays off and a lot more midweek matches. Maybe what fans were used to from the Indy 11. First midweek match will be against this same FC Cincinnati squad Wednesday, May the 2nd. So Indy 11 fans get used to Wednesday night football, if you will, here at Lucas Oil Stadium.
I'm ready. I got a text in. I got an interesting trivia fact on how these two teams are connected.
And that would be?
Bone was almost an Indy 11 player. He was an hour away from signing his contract. Jurgen had found him, brought him in, and he was an hour away from signing his contract. Philadelphia Union called, offered him a contract. Otherwise, he would have been in an Indy 11 uniform in 2014.
Back in the original season. Bone from Plano, Texas, 28 years of age.
Any idea who may have texted that in?
Jurgen?
No. But tip of the hat to him for finding him. That was old Timmy Regan.
How about our boy Timmy?
Who's watching the broadcast somewhere.
Hello, Tim. Trying to get the foul outside of the 18. Official says no. Starikoff wants a long distance ball. He gets it, but and Newton had to play that with his feet well outside the 18.
Yeah, but you could see the tactical IQ of Newton. He's coming off his line as that play's developing because he's seeing Starikoff pinching on that back line, and he knows that that ball over the top is going to be dangerous. So he's standing out at about the 15 as that play's developing.
You referenced Tim Regan, assistant coach with Indy 11 in 2014 and 2016, interim head coach in 2015. These days at Bradley University, his alma mater. Of course, Tim played in Major League Soccer for several years. I'm going to go with the fact that the head coach of the Indy 11 and Martin Rennie coached the Vancouver Whitecaps, and Alan Koch was the coach of Vancouver Whitecaps too. I thought that might be the way you go.
No.
But you dig deeper, my friend. I appreciate your research staff stepping up for the broadcast.
That's exactly what it is. It's my staff that delivers information. The interesting thing about Alan and Martin's time in Vancouver is they did not overlap. It was like one was heading out the door as the other was coming in. So they know of each other, but they didn't have the chance to work together.
Coach Alan Koch for FC Cincinnati, a native of South Africa, but has spent a lot of time in Canada, not just with the Vancouver Whitecaps, was a collegiate player and coach at Simon Fraser, which is a college in Canada, but they play at the NCAA Division II level. Ring tries to head that ball out of danger. Again, Cincinnati has been reluctant to throw numbers forward.
Oh, good play.
Smith with some space to operate. Will switch up the side of the attack. Finds Ledesma. Again, Pasher camps on that left side. Bone is there. Didn't get through. Ring got in the way.
Great decision by Pasher to force Ledesma onto his right foot.
McInerney the long distance run. Starikoff the ball at his feet. Leaves it for Watson. 3 Cincy defenders converge, and Haber with the ball at midfield.
It's just too slow to develop. It's just too the ball in transition. I mean, FC Cincinnati is tracking 5-6 guys back in the time that it takes that ball to move. So you're having the right idea. It's just got the pace of it has to pick up. I think you could serve the ball to Ledesma in any of 1,000 different ways, and he'll bring it down, first touch, right to his feet.
Suni Saad couldn't keep the ball at his feet, and then commits the foul. Richie Ryan goes to the turf. We haven't talked about Richie much tonight, other than just saying how much we appreciated his game in the past. What have you seen from Richie?
Steadiness. You don't talk about him. He just does. He makes the right play before it even is developing, and so he stays a step ahead of it. He stays a step ahead of the highlight.
Chance to kill some time, throw some numbers forward as Newton.
You know, back in the NASL last year, you knew that Miami was serious about contending when they picked him up. I forget where they get him from, Jacksonville or.
Did it 2 years ago, did Miami FC. Richie spent some time with Ottawa Fury FC. Throw-in coming here for FC Cincinnati fans. You can download the official Indy 11 app now to be the first to receive breaking team news and highlights. Available on the app stores for Apple and Android devices. Both these teams kind of able just to squeeze the life out of the games the last couple of weeks. When Cincy won March 17th, Indy won last Saturday in Richmond. Cincy again trying to win both of their first 2 matches on the season on the road. That is like found money, trying to get 6 points from 2 games away from home, knowing the remarkable home pitch advantage you have playing in front of 20+ thousand in Cincinnati whenever you are at home.
Well, I tell you, I talked to Coach Koch, and one of the things he talked about was how they did take their foot off the gas against the Battery, and you haven't seen it. I mean, they spent this week working on possessing. They wanted to possess the ball late to make sure that they just weren't defending after they scored a goal, and you can see it. They're still attacking. They're still creating opportunities.
Pasher, good look for Saad. Starikov races onto it. Starikov tries it. Didn't exactly hit it well. Put a scare into Newton. He had the post covered the entire time.
Yeah, but a good build-up, and you've got Starikov running towards goal on his right foot. Just didn't quite get a good hit.
Starikov was the guy that early in the year really hadn't played that much for the New York Cosmos. By the time the Indy 11 first faced them in July, they had some serious roster numbers because of injuries, because of international duty. And Eugene basically got in the lineup against the Indy 11 and then never left the Cosmos lineup the rest of the season.
Well, he's a difference maker. You look at him, he's a big bodied, he can be a target, he can be a finisher. He's got good pace, he's got a good touch, he lays the ball off well.
The Indy 11 looking for that threatening moment in this half. They haven't had it compared to half number 1. Well, there was the McInerney penalty, the McInerney header. The blast from Ben Spees, the look from Matt Watson. There has not been that moment here in half number 2.
Yeah, and you know, it's hard to. One of the great things about this game is there are defining moments of the game, and it's hard to figure out what it is as the game's going on. But you know, you look at the missed penalty kick, and that there hasn't been the same life. There it is. There it is.
Onside. Cincinnati player got there first. That's a good no call. I thought the penalty was a good call earlier. That was well called by the referee. Nothing there. But it was Saad getting back onside at time there and set that play up for the Indy 11.
He's a dangerous, dangerous player.
And a giveaway by FC Cincinnati. They trade possession for about 50 yards worth of real estate. So plenty of time left in this one. Here in minute number 73. Greg Rakestraw, Brad Hodder with you. Our maiden voyage for 2018. Our 5th year of Indy 11 soccer on My Indy TV. Thanks to those of you watching us on YouTube, which is where you can find USL matches all season long. This portion of the match presented by Turkish Airlines. Widen your world.
I might this last 15-10, if I'm Indy 11, I might be taking a look at Justin Braun to come in, see if that energy and pace that he's got. And he says he's 90%.
Bone.
Good decision.
Welshman back to Bone, and it was Mitchell that got in the way.
Great interplay. But
that was by far the best build-up and combination play for Cincinnati in the second half, and a foul whistle. And Forrest Lasso is going to get a talking to as McInerney went to the turf.
And I tell you, you look at this, and either one of these guys could have pulled the trigger on the ball. That's a very unselfish play.
Lasso is shown the card for the takedown. Much as we had the Welshman to Welshman in the first half, Lasso living up to his last name with that tackle.
Oh my goodness.
Again, sometimes the ball just lands at your feet, Brad.
I know.
I know you're in the
goal. And you never miss.
I know you're in the goal prevention business, so I get it. So I got to give you the goal scoring analogies. To the back of the 6. Since he got there first, it will be a corner, and we have seen very few of these for the Indy 11 in this match.
Yeah, and these are the things that can make a difference right now. You know, you're not getting really good looks right now. You're not getting really good chances when you get a restart. You've got to be dangerous here. And FC Cincinnati has to understand that. They've loaded up the 6 right now.
Sunni Saad will take the corner. Plenty of targets, as Brad mentioned, a low driving one that's sent towards section 117. Should be a throw-in for the Indy 11, but before the restart, there's going to be another conversation between referee and players. It looks like this is going both directions as well. Take a look at some of the action going on around the 6 as Wemett went to the turf. Good clearance by FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, just too easy to read.
Von Williams with the ball at his feet and one player within 50 yards of him. Fans for standing stats, all the latest league news, visit uslsoccer.com.
Good ball.
Indy 11 might be reminiscent of their home opener 2 years ago when they pulled back a late goal to get a draw with Ottawa to earn a home point in their first match of the year. 2014 Carolina, 2015 the New York Cosmos, 2016 Ottawa, and 2017 Puerto Rico FC. Every home opener in this franchise's history has resulted in a draw. Pasher had the right idea, just could not keep the ball at his feet. If you're just joining us, back to half number 1. Service by Ledesma, the finish by Emery Welshman.
Unreal. The place that he landed that ball was it was the only place you could put it and actually get a shot on goal.
First goal for the Ontario native since joining FC Cincinnati in the offseason from Puerto Rico FC.
I agree with you 100%. I didn't see the level of spark that he's brought to this game from him last year.
And in part because everything was such a struggle for Puerto Rico FC last year. Robert Steinberger played that ball with an extended arm. Restart coming for Cincinnati, and as you'd expect, a veteran and talented team. They're not exactly in a big hurry to get things restarted, nursing a one-goal lead in minute 78.
It's smart. And everybody's wound up. You got 17,000+ people here. It's a big match for both teams, both cities, both fan bases. So there's a lot of reasons that your heart's running, but you got to have the ability to slow it down, be a good game manager, take another 30 seconds off the clock if you can.
Ball sent in. Watson got in the way at the feet of Welshman. Welshman could not keep it in play.
Smart play. Just enough of body on body from Wemett to make sure that Welshman couldn't catch up to that ball.
And Wemett spent time with both the Montreal Impact and the New York Red Bulls before joining them in the North American Soccer League. First on loan from the Red Bulls to the Jacksonville Armada, then an outright signee of the San Francisco Deltas last year. Mitchell. Pasher went in the air to win that one, but eventually back to the feet of an FC Cincinnati player. Steinberger sprinting at Blake Smith. And Sooney Saad doing the same towards Newton.
And it is a good read by the entire Indy 11 back line. As they started seeing Steinberger and Sooney Saad starting to press that ball, they pushed the back line up, which shrinks the recovery spaces and starts to move the FC Cincinnati players back towards their own goal.
Brad Ring realizing best just to let that ball make its way towards the sidelines. And here comes the third and final substitution. And Danny Koenig. You referenced him earlier, 30-year-old from Denmark. And this sub tells you with Emery Welshman coming out that this is not an FC Cincinnati squad that thinks maybe one is enough.
It's 37 goals. 37 goals the guy's got.
So one sub remains for the Indy 11. Welshman exits with the only tally so far of this match. What's got to change here, Brad, for the Indy 11?
Well, you look at how when the 11 are possessing the ball, how compact and how organized FC Cincinnati is. And so you've got to either try to catch them quicker in transition or slide them all to one side.
Or a moment like that where you can get something off a free kick.
It's a great position. It's a great spot right here.
Seymour gives the foul. Suni Saad will draw it for the Indy 11.
It's probably not a spot to take a shot on, but you've got the ability to place a ball in behind that line, or you've got the ability to dial something up kind of short and look to work behind the wall.
It's Saad that's lining it up. Six Indy 11 players inside or just outside the 18. Has a go, and Newton.
Why not?
Had to lift it up and over. Well, while Ledesma and Welshman have been impressive, especially in the first half for FC Cincinnati, I think unquestionably Evan Newton's got to be the man of the match so far for Cincy.
My goodness. And then, you know, you could say the same thing for the first match of the season.
Steinberger wants to take this one, sending Saad towards the box. Four inside of the 6. Two just outside it. Steinberger sends it through. Another clearance by FC Cincinnati. The Brickyard Battalion continues in full song. Their largest group in the history of this team. Steinberger, great work.
What a turn.
Slides it across. McInerney tried to get ahead to it. Well defended by Cincinnati.
What a clever move to get behind Blake Smith.
By the way, the attendance was just announced by Sean Sullivan, the public address voice of the Indy 11. A new franchise record attendance, 17,535 on hand for the Indy 11. Handball called against Koenig. Ouimet on an island. A great job in defending. As Brett has talked about, a very capable goal scorer.
I'll tell you what, he brought that ball down well, and I thought he was going to get a shot out of it.
McInerney couldn't control the bounce.
See, there's an example of Richie Ryan right there. As the ball comes into the pocket in the middle, he's got players all around him. Nice little one touch, nothing too fancy. Puts it out to the outside back, tons of space.
And the 11 had ideas about 3 points in this match. Right now they'd settle for 1, and that will be a foul as Mitchell goes to the turf. The USL's official Facebook page brings you the best from across the league with news, highlights, interactive features like the USL on Facebook to get the league's best content delivered to you. Mitchell, one of 2 natives of Trinidad and Tobago that are on this roster. The other is Nathan Lewis, who was not with the team last week. He was on international duty. Starikoff taken off that ball by Ryan.
Good decision.
Trying to slide it past Hoyt. Pasher trying to slip behind him. And the 3rd sub for the Indy 11 is going to be a very familiar name and face. Not to mention, it is his 31st birthday. Let's see if when he enters, it's a 1-goal lead or maybe 2. With possession right now in favor of FC Cincinnati in minute number 85. McInerney applying pressure.
It's a good read. Good read. Thought he might be able to pinch that.
Nothing else. He got the ball back in the 11, and then Mitchell gives it right back to Blake Smith. Now Smith, good ball to Bone. Ledesma able to keep that in play. But possession truly 9/10 of the law right now for FC Cincinnati. Koenig was not in an onside position. That ball was played to him. And with that, Matt Watson will exit. Another forward brought in. It is Justin Braun. The captain's armband will be going to Brad Ring. Matt Watson races off the field. Happy birthday, Justin Braun. It's great to see you back on the pitch for the Indy 11. The Salt Lake City native spent time with Chivas USA, Real Salt Lake, amongst other stops in Major League Soccer. Was in the USL with Sacramento Republic FC in 2014 and 2015. 15 goals in 2 years with the Indy 11. He is the franchise's second all-time leading goal scorer behind Eamon Zayed. We referenced Eamon Zayed. He scored twice on his birthday last year. I think Indy would settle for one with Braun right here. Pasher slides into to Steinberger, looking to cross. Saad.
What a great strike, though. That's a tough ball. You don't know, is Justin going to get a piece of it? It's a great serve.
It's a case where Braun can kind of stop his run in time. We had 4 minutes of stoppage time after the first half. We will not have that much right now, just because there have not been as many injuries. There's not been as many substitutions. I guess there's been about the same amount of substitutions. Nonetheless, 2 minutes, maybe 3. Tacked onto the 3 minutes left before we get to minute number 90. For Indy, it will be a trip next week to an old friend to take on North Carolina FC. They were the two teams that made the move from the NASL to the USL after last season.
Yeah, they had a heartbreaker tonight. I think they were up 1-0 with 10 minutes to go, and Richmond put in 2 in that final 10 to steal the 3.
Steinberger.
Good ball.
Finds Braun, tries the flick. Couldn't connect with McInerney. By the way, the final 5 minutes plus stoppage time of the second half is brought to us by your Central Indiana Honda dealers, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. Numbers forward for the Indy 11. Long distance opportunity. Newton has played every angle perfectly tonight. For his second clean sheet in as many games away from home. By the way, we are now told we'll have 3 additional minutes at the end of this match.
Okay, you got time for 1, maybe 2 more good looks for the 11. I think for Cincinnati, Koenig he's a handful.
Good read by Saad. But couldn't maintain the possession. Just has not been that scary moment from the perspective of FC Cincinnati in half number 2. Shots on goal, yes, but Pasher. Well done by Ledesma. Just enough to knock him off the pace of that.
The IQ that he has and the angles that he takes to defend and how he sets up players.
Koenig is onside. Mitchell got in front of it, but several more seconds will now tick off the clock with the corner upcoming for FC Cincinnati. And these two teams will play twice more this year. The next one again here and in short order on Wednesday, May 2nd. And then Indy will close the home portion of the schedule for FC Cincinnati on September the 29th. These two teams kind of in similar situations where you play in a football venue. So there are a lot of summer home matches, not as many once you get to September and October for each of these two teams. And this is officially kill the clock time in the corner for FC Cincinnati. We'll give up some real estate here to maintain possession. And Newton content to knock that ball towards downtown Indianapolis.
That's a good read by Lasso.
Brad Ring.
Yeah, you got numbers forward.
Minute 1 of 3 of stoppage time. Ouimet.
Oh.
Got a lot of ball, but got enough of the head of Ledesma to draw the foul. And again, every foul, that's 30 seconds that comes off the clock.
Yep.
Braun wisely trots over towards the ball, trying to speed up the restart, as Hoyt will set it back to his goalkeeper in Newton. And stay tuned, we will have the Central Indiana Hot Dealers post-game show. Post-match highlights, stats, analysis, and interviews. Player down from each side. We play through it.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened to Koenig.
He and Mitchell got tangled up.
I didn't see if it was an elbow, if they went head to head, or.
I think it was just more legs and arms kind of got tangled. Steinberger trying to launch the attack forward. Ouimet. Pasher didn't get the bounce he was hoping for off the turf. But a giveaway by Cincinnati. McInerney plays it through to Suni Saad. Saad tried to give and go to McInerney. McInerney wasn't ready for it. And now Bone. The two defenders back. Final minute. A last gasp for the Indy 11.
Indy 11 is to throw everybody forward right now.
Modern. Braun got ahead to it. Couldn't control it. And Hoyt wants to keep the clock rolling. Steinberger able to keep it in play.
Clever touch.
Steinberger maybe he can dial up long distance. He'll try it.
Whoa.
Newton did not touch it. The ball went up and over the bar of its own volition.
That good of a hit when 90 minutes are on your legs, that is tough to do.
I realize we're in a football venue, not a basketball gymnasium, but he's one of those guys in the gym range, they'll say in basketball, gets off the bus, will shoot it. That's Zach. In that scenario, that pays off, that level of confidence. And that's it. There will not be a restart needed. Congratulations to FC Cincinnati as they get a second road win in as many tries in the month of March. And while it was not the result the Indy 11 wanted, congratulations this franchise. Less than 3 months ago, 2018 was very much an uncertainty. Tonight they play in front of a record crowd, over 17,000 at their brand new home, Lucas Oil Stadium. We'll take this quick timeout. When we come back, final thoughts on tonight's match. Your final score in the first ever match from Lucas Oil Stadium. FC Cincinnati 1, Indy 11-0. We're back to wrap it up next.